Just one handful of the wrong nut raised his liver damage risk by 48%. That's a real statistic. It comes from a 20-year study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. And yet, most older adults still reach for that exact nut, thinking they're doing something good for their health. Imagine this. You grab a healthy-looking nut mix. It feels like the perfect swap for chips or cookies, but in just a few bites, you may have triggered inflammation, destabilized your blood sugar, and even interfered with your medications without even knowing it. Don't scroll away. Stick with me for just a few minutes, because I'm about to show you 4 powerhouse nuts that protect your brain, bones, and heart, and also reveal the 4 you should limit or avoid, especially if you're over 60 and want to stay healthy, sharp, and independent. Tap like so more people over 60 see this. Type "nut smart" in the comments if you've ever reached for a bag of mixed nuts without checking the label. Why this matters more. After 60, most older adults feel proud when they choose nuts over processed snacks. That instinct is right, but the reality is more complicated than most people realize. Because as your body ages, nutritional choices matter more. Your organs work harder, your liver detoxes slower, your blood sugar fluctuates faster, and small mistakes, like choosing the wrong nuts, can add up quickly. Some nuts are full of anti-inflammatory fats, bone-building minerals, and brain-boosting compounds. But others, they quietly raise inflammation, stress your liver, and even clash with blood pressure or thyroid medications. The key isn't to avoid nuts. It's to understand which ones actually support your aging body and which ones may be working against you. The first nut you should eat: almonds. Almonds aren't just popular. They're one of the most complete plant-based foods for seniors. Each 1-ounce serving gives you 97 milligrams of calcium, roughly the same as 1/4 cup of milk magnesium, which helps move calcium into your bones instead of letting it settle in your arteries. Antioxidants from almond skins, including flavonoids and vitamin E, which fight oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is no small matter. It's linked to memory loss, immune system decline faster, cellular aging. Vitamin E also supports skin health, brain function, protection against age-related cognitive decline. And let's talk about heart health. Almonds contain 9 grams of monounsaturated fat per ounce, which helps lower LDL, bad cholesterol, and raise HDL, good cholesterol. They also provide 3.5 grams of fiber, improving digestion and stabilizing blood sugar. For anyone over 60, that's a big deal. Why almonds? Because they support your skeleton, circulation, digestion, and memory, all in a single, simple snack. Let's start with a nut that resembles the organ it protects: the walnut. 2. Walnuts, the brain defender. It's almost poetic. Walnuts look like miniature brains, and in many ways, they protect the real one inside your head. Each ounce of walnuts provides around 2.5 grams of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. These healthy fats help maintain the flexibility of brain cell membranes, support communication between neurons, and defend against cognitive decline associated with aging. As we grow older, our brains become more vulnerable to chronic, low-grade inflammation. That's why walnuts are so powerful. They're packed with polyphenols, a type of antioxidant that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning they don't just work in your body, they work inside your brain. They also contain vitamin E, known for protecting cells from oxidative damage, and melatonin, the sleep-regulating hormone that helps maintain a stable circadian rhythm, something many older adults struggle with. According to research from Tufts University, regular walnut consumption may help maintain mental clarity, processing speed, mood stability, sleep quality. When sleep improves, so does everything else: memory, immune strength, and even blood pressure. Smart tip: snack on 5 to 7 walnut halves per day. Keep them refrigerated to preserve their oils. Rancid fats can do more harm than good. And remember, walnuts aren't just brain food. They're also a mood stabilizer, sleep supporter, and circulatory enhancer, all in one. 3. Pistachios, the blood pressure and blood sugar ally. These green gems may look small, but they carry a powerful nutritional punch, especially for seniors managing hypertension, blood sugar concerns, or age-related vision decline. Just 1 ounce of pistachios offers 285 milligallons of potassium, which helps counteract sodium and naturally lowers blood pressure. A low glycemic index, meaning they release sugar into the bloodstream slowly. A balance of protein, fiber, and healthy fats, which helps manage hunger, regulate glucose, and support digestion. Lutein and zeaxanthin, carotenoids that protect the retina from oxidative damage. Clinical research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown that adding pistachios to the diet can significantly reduce systolic blood pressure, particularly important for older adults whose vascular systems have become more sensitive to salt and stress. Even better, pistachios support eye health. They help protect the macula, the part of the eye responsible for sharp, central vision. That's critical for reading, driving, and recognizing faces. And there's emerging evidence that these compounds might even support brain function by reducing neuroinflammation. How to enjoy them? Aim for 30 unsalted pistachios a day. Shell-on varieties help slow you down and promote mindful snacking. Just be careful not to reach for the roasted, salted versions. Too much sodium can erase the very benefits pistachios are known for. 4. Brazil nuts. The tiny powerhouse with a big warning. Unlike other nuts, Brazil nuts aren't just food, they're practically medicine. They contain one of the highest known concentrations of selenium, a trace mineral that's essential, but dangerous in excess. Just one large Brazil nut contains about 96 micrograms of selenium. That's over 175% of your daily recommended intake. Selenium plays a central role in thyroid hormone conversion, T4 to active T3, mood regulation and mental sharpness, metabolic balance and energy production, immune strength and inflammation control. For many older adults, especially women post-menopause, thyroid function begins to slip. Unfortunately, symptoms like fatigue, weight gain, or forgetfulness often go misdiagnosed as just getting old. In reality, low selenium equals low thyroid output equals low vitality. Brazil nuts can help, but only in moderation. Frank, the man we mentioned earlier, learned this the hard way. Thinking they were just another healthy snack, he began eating 2 or 3 Brazil nuts every day. By the end of the second month, he was more tired than usual. His hair started thinning. Blood tests showed toxic levels of selenium, which explained his growing nerve discomfort and mood instability. The truth? Brazil nuts are effective, but dose matters. Golden rule: 1 nut per day equals ideal. 2 equals okay occasionally, 3 or more equals risk of toxicity. Signs of selenium overload include fatigue, digestive upset, hair loss, brittle nails, tingling in hands or feet. Worse, excess selenium can interfere with medications like blood pressure pills, thyroid hormones, and statins, making them either too strong or ineffective. Think of Brazil nuts like a supplement, not a snack. Comment below. I had no idea nuts could affect sleep, mood, and hormones. Tap like if this surprised you. And share this with someone who might be overdoing their healthy snacks without realizing the risks. Because after 60, food doesn't just feed you. It can either support your health or sabotage it. Now that we've covered the nuts that help protect your health, it's time to look at the ones that might be quietly working against you, especially if you're over 60. We'll start with one of the most common healthy snacks in America, the peanut. 1. Peanuts. The hidden liver saboteur. They're everywhere. Trail mixes, energy bars, peanut butter, roasted snacks at ball games. Peanuts are practically synonymous with snacking in the US. But here's something few people know. Peanuts aren't actually nuts. They're legumes. And unlike tree nuts, peanuts grow underground, which makes them especially vulnerable to mold contamination. That mold produces aflatoxins, a class of naturally occurring toxins that have been linked to liver cell damage, weakened immune function, increased risk of liver cancer. Even low, chronic exposure can be dangerous, particularly for older adults with slower liver detoxification or those on medications processed by the liver. Frank, the retired teacher we mentioned earlier, used to eat 2 tablespoons of peanut butter every morning. He thought he was doing the right thing. High in protein, low in sugar, easy to spread on toast. But what he didn't know was that aflatoxins had been quietly accumulating in his system over time. When his liver enzymes started climbing, his doctor asked a simple question: "Do you eat a lot of peanuts?" That moment changed everything. And there's another issue: omega-6 fatty acids. While omega-6 fats aren't bad on their own, most people today eat far too much of them and not enough omega-3s. This imbalance creates systemic inflammation, which contributes to joint pain, high blood pressure, heart disease, cognitive decline. Peanuts are especially high in omega-6s, and for seniors who already consume processed foods or oils, this adds fuel to the fire. Bottom line, peanuts in moderation, maybe daily or large amounts. Rethink it, especially if you have liver issues or take multiple medications. If you still love peanut butter, choose organic, unsweetened, and limit portions. And consider rotating it out with almond or walnut butters, which offer more protective benefits. 2. Cashews. The sweet-looking sugar trap. At first glance, cashews seem like a great choice. They're creamy, buttery, and far more gourmet than peanuts. They show up in upscale trail mixes, vegan recipes, and even fancy desserts. But don't let the soft texture fool you. Cashews can spike your blood sugar faster than most nuts. Here's why. High in carbohydrates, about 9 g total carbs per ounce. Low in fiber, only 1 g fiber per ounce, which means most of those carbs become net carbs. This leads to rapid blood sugar spikes, especially dangerous for seniors managing prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. You wouldn't expect a handful of nuts to affect your glucose levels, but with cashews, that's exactly what can happen. Frank's wife, Linda, loved snacking on cashews while watching TV. She didn't consider herself diabetic, just borderline, as her doctor called it. But every time she went for her checkup, her blood sugar crept higher. She had cut sugar, cut soda, cut white bread. But she hadn't cut the cashews. Her endocrinologist finally made the connection, and when she reduced her intake, her fasting glucose dropped within weeks. And there's another hidden risk most people overlook: oxalates. Cashews are rich in oxalates, naturally occurring compounds that can bind with calcium in your digestive tract. This can lead to kidney stone formation, irritation in people with reduced kidney function, for older adults who may already have reduced renal efficiency or a history of urinary tract issues. This is not a small concern. Should you avoid cashews completely? Not necessarily, but you must control the portion. Occasional small handful, fine. Eating straight from the bag, dangerous. And if you have any kidney concerns or struggle with blood sugar control, this nut may be doing more harm than good. Drop a comment. I thought cashews were the safe ones. Like, if you're learning things you've never been told before, share this with someone who snacks on nuts daily, especially if they're over 60, because the wrong nut isn't just empty calories. It could be the reason your blood sugar won't stabilize, or your kidneys start acting up, or your joints flare without explanation. The good news, you now know better. Next, we'll explore 2 more nuts that might shock you: macadamias and pine nuts, and how they can quietly undo everything you're working toward in your health. You've made it this far, and now it's time to shine a light on 2 nuts that sound elegant, taste indulgent, and come with unexpected health risks, especially for older adults. Let's start with the luxury nut of the bunch: macadamias. 3. Macadamias. The fat trap in a fancy shell. Macadamias are often praised as the butter of the nut world. They're creamy, smooth, and delicately sweet, making them a favorite in premium nut mixes and high-end desserts. But here's what most people, especially seniors, don't realize. Macadamias are one of the fattiest nuts on Earth. More than 200 calories per 10 to 12 nuts, over 21 grams of fat per ounce, very low in fiber and protein, which means they don't satisfy hunger like almonds or pistachios do. That's a recipe for easy over-snacking and poor satiety. 2 major problems if you're watching your weight, blood sugar, or heart health. Frank, now retired and spending more time at home, began snacking on macadamias while watching documentaries in the afternoon. Just a handful, he told himself, but those handfuls added up. Within weeks, he felt heavier, more sluggish, his cholesterol climbed, and despite eating less overall, he couldn't lose weight. His doctor gently asked, "Are you eating anything that might be unusually high in fat?" That's when Frank realized 10 macadamias equals the same fat as 2 tablespoons of butter, and not just any fat, mostly saturated fat. While not as harmful as trans fats, saturated fats in large amounts can raise LDL, bad cholesterol, increase risk of heart disease, stress the gallbladder, especially in adults over 60. Many seniors already have undiagnosed gallstones or reduced gallbladder function. Adding macadamias daily can trigger bloating, gas, digestive discomfort, in severe cases, gallbladder attacks. Bottom line, macadamias aren't bad, but they are rich, dense, and easy to abuse. If you love them, treat them like you would chocolate truffles. Occasional indulgence, not a daily snack. 4. Pine nuts. Elegant but hazardous for some. Pine nuts sound fancy, don't they? Often sprinkled on gourmet salads, ground into pesto, or tossed with artisan pasta, they seem harmless. But pine nuts come with a set of risks many seniors are completely unaware of. First, pine mouth syndrome. Have you ever eaten something and days later noticed a bitter, metallic taste in your mouth, one that won't go away? That's pine mouth. a real condition triggered by certain species of pine nuts, especially imported varieties. It's not dangerous, but it's deeply unpleasant and can last up to 2 weeks. Linda, Frank's wife, experienced this firsthand after eating a handful from a fancy mixed tin. 3 days later, everything, coffee, water, fruit, tasted like metal. She had no idea what was happening until she looked it up. No medication helps. The only remedy is time. But pine mouth isn't the only concern. Second, medication interactions. Pine nuts may interact negatively with medications many seniors take, including blood pressure meds, antidepressants, statins, anticoagulants. Though rare, these interactions can alter how your body metabolizes the drug or amplify side effects like dizziness, fatigue, or digestive upset. And unlike almonds or walnuts, pine nuts contain compounds that may slow drug clearance in the liver, potentially raising blood levels of medications. Third, aspiration risk. Due to their small, smooth, and oily shape, pine nuts can be a choking hazard for seniors with dry mouth trouble, swallowing dental issues, neurological conditions like Parkinson's, or early dementia. In Frank's community, one resident choked on a pine nut while eating a soft salad and had to be hospitalized. Thankfully, he recovered, but it was a harsh wake-up call for many safety tips if you insist on eating them. Eat them seated, not while walking or talking. Avoid if you live alone and have swallowing issues. Ever eat them by the spoonful. Chew thoroughly, sip water between bites. But truly, there are better, safer alternatives for flavor and crunch. Try roasted sunflower seeds, crushed walnuts, or pumpkin seeds, pepitas, as safer toppers that support, not sabotage, your health. Drop a comment. Didn't think macadamias or pine nuts could be risky. Hit like if this helped you rethink your snack drawer. And share this with someone who uses fancy nuts thinking they're all healthy. Because the price tag or packaging doesn't determine whether a nut is safe for older adults. Understanding your body does. Let's take a breath. You've made it through the entire story. You've learned about the nuts that help, the ones that harm, and the ones that are powerful only when used wisely. But if you're like most people, you might be wondering, now what? Because information is great, but transformation happens when we apply it. So in this final part, I want to give you something simple, practical, and proven, something Frank and Linda have both embraced. It's not a diet, not a rule book, just a daily rhythm that takes 3 minutes and reshapes how you feel, think, and age. They call it their nut ritual. Step 1. Choose your core. For after experimenting and learning, Frank settled on 4 nuts that worked for his body. Almonds, for steady blood sugar, healthy skin, and bone support. Walnuts, for mental clarity, better mood, and deeper sleep. Pistachios, for heart health, eye protection, and digestion. Brazil nuts, for thyroid hormones and immune resilience, just 1 a day. Each Sunday, he preps tiny jars, 7 in total, 1 for each day of the week. It takes him less than 5 minutes, but it gives him something more valuable than convenience: confidence. Linda, on the other hand, keeps a small dish near her teapot. Every morning, before emails or chores, she pauses. She eats her mix slowly. She says it helps her feel like she started the day on purpose. That's the power of a routine. It turns chaos into clarity. Step 2. Respect the caution list. Not all nuts are off limits, but some deserve boundaries. Frank used to keep a jar of roasted peanuts by his recliner. After learning about aflatoxins and omega-6 overload, he moved them to the back of the pantry. Now, he only brings them out when his grandkids visit. Cashews. Linda once called them her TV snack, but after noticing her blood sugar was creeping up, she swapped them for a few slices of cucumber and a single piece of dark chocolate. Her cravings calmed, her energy stabilized. Macadamias. They're still in the cupboard, but labeled treat only. Pine nuts, reserved for special dishes and always eaten mindfully. This isn't about fear, it's about being awake. Knowing which foods deserve your daily attention and which ones don't is a quiet form of mastery. Step 3. Create a moment, not a habit. Habits happen without thinking. Rituals happen with intention. Frank and Linda don't eat their nuts while scrolling on their phones or standing at the counter. They sit down, they breathe, they chew slowly. Sometimes they talk about the day ahead. Other times they simply enjoy the silence. 3 minutes, that's all it takes. But those 3 minutes anchor their mornings with calm, clarity, and care. You can do the same. Pick your spot. Pick your mix. Stay consistent. Stay present. This isn't about calories or macronutrients. It's about identity. The kind of person you want to be after 60. Thoughtful, intentional, and in charge. Step 4. Track the quiet shifts. Linda keeps a small notebook. In it, she tracks sleep quality, mood, bowel movements, energy, aches, and pains. She doesn't obsess, but she pays attention. After 2 weeks of swapping cashews for almonds, she noticed she wasn't waking up groggy anymore. After cutting pine nuts, the bitter taste in her mouth vanished. Frank, after adding 1 Brazil nut a day, found his cold hands were less frequent and his mood more stable. These are subtle changes, but subtle is powerful when repeated. Because the body speaks softly before it screams. And if you're willing to listen, you can adjust before things go wrong. Final thoughts from Frank. I spent most of my life ignoring my body, he told me once. I thought pain was just part of aging. I thought being tired was normal. I thought food was either boring or bad. Now, I eat a handful of nuts every morning, and I feel like I'm giving my body a vote of confidence. It's not the only thing I do, but it's the first thing I do, and it sets the tone for everything else. Linda added, a few years ago, I felt like life was slipping out of my hands. Now, even if the world's chaotic, I feel grounded. All because I decided to take my health into my own hands, one small choice at a time. Your turn. You've made it through the story. You know the facts. You've heard the risks and rewards. Now, it's your move. Which 4 nuts will you choose? What time of day will you make your ritual? What's 1 nut you're ready to let go of, kindly, without guilt? This isn't about perfection, it's about connection to your body, your habits, your intentions. Because after 60, health isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the few right things, consistently, quietly, with care. And sometimes that starts with something as small as a handful of the right nuts.